They didn't ask for ID. They didn't check a list. They just saw a black man in uniform and told him he didn't belong. But what they didn't know was who he was and who was watching. And when 4 Navy SEALs stood up, silence swept through the room. Because this wasn't just about ceremony, it was about respect, and what happens when you try to take it from a Marine. 2 guards asked Black Marine to leave his daughter's award ceremony. Then 4 SEALs made them regret. The auditorium was packed. Parents in suits, students in pressed uniforms. Medals glinting, flashbulbs popping. And in the back stood Master Sergeant David Rains. 33 years of service, 3 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, and a smile only his daughter ever saw. He wasn't trying to make a scene. He just wanted to watch her receive the Presidential Academic Medal, the highest award the school had ever granted. But before the ceremony could begin, 2 security guards approached. "Sir, this section is reserved. This is for guests of honor only. You'll need to wait in the overflow area." David calmly showed his invitation, even pointed to his name on the guest list. But they weren't interested in lists. They were interested in his skin and the uniform they refused to see. "We don't want trouble, sir. Let's not make this uncomfortable." He could have made it uncomfortable. He could have called his rank. He could have reminded them whose tax dollars paid for their little earpieces. But he didn't. Instead, he stepped aside and quietly said, "I'll let my record speak." He never raised his voice, but across the aisle, someone heard him. And that someone was SEAL Team Commander Brooks. Brooks had served with David, owed his life to him, and when he saw David being treated like a threat at his own daughter's moment, he stood up, followed by SEAL Lieutenant Jackson, then Chief Petty Officer Lou, and then Navy Medic Sophia Elridge. 4 SEALs in full dress uniform, and one sentence that turned the room to ice. "If Master Sergeant Rains leaves, we leave with him." The guards froze. Everyone turned. And in that moment, even the principal's voice cracked over the microphone. Because they all knew they had crossed the wrong man. But the story wasn't over. Because this was just the beginning. And what happened next made history. They thought they were just removing a man from a school event. What they didn't know was who he had trained and how many owed him everything. This wasn't just about a father being humiliated. It was about the line between silence and a response. And now, that line had been crossed. The moment Marcus stepped outside, a storm was already building. Not from him, but from 4 men watching the live stream his daughter had set up, half a world away. 4 men who didn't just serve with Marcus, they owed their lives to him. Logan, Chavez, Riley, and Bishop. 4 former Navy SEALs, 4 names that could change the tone of any room they walked into. And they were already inbound. Meanwhile, inside the auditorium, Ava stood alone on stage, her hands shaking slightly as she clutched the plaque that should have been given with her father at her side. The crowd clapped politely. The principal smiled nervously. But everyone in that room felt the crack in the air, even the guards, especially the guards. Because what looked like a routine security protocol had just gone public. At 7:41 p.m., a black SUV pulled up outside the school. Not police, not press, just 4 men, clean-shaven, calm, and lethal in posture. They didn't storm the building. They walked, with discipline, with intent, with the kind of presence that made even the guards look down and shift their feet. One of them, Riley, simply held out a phone. On the screen, a photo of Marcus in combat gear. Below it, Master Sergeant, 4 tours,
Bronze Star, you're superior." No one said a word. They didn't need to. Inside the hall, Chavez walked to the microphone and said one sentence. "We came to stand where one of our best was told he didn't belong." Then he stepped aside, and Marcus walked back in. Not escorted, not invited. He walked in like the room belonged to him, because it always should have.
Everyone thought the night was over, that the shame would stick. But in the next 6 minutes, the entire auditorium learned what respect actually looks like and what regret sounds like when 4 combat veterans deliver it in complete silence. The auditorium had never been quieter. Not when the valedictorian spoke, not when the principal begged for attention. But now that Marcus had walked in flanked by his old SEAL unit, every neck craned, every whisper died. They didn't storm in, they didn't speak, but their presence filled the room like a battle hymn, steady, silent, and undeniable. Marcus didn't need an invitation. He walked back to his seat, no apology given and none expected. The school board members on stage froze. The guards who dejected him were now suddenly nowhere to be seen, and the teacher giving out medals hesitated. She looked at Marcus, then at his daughter Maya. Then she motioned her forward, but Maya didn't move. Instead, she stepped away from the line and walked down the aisle straight to her father. With tears barely held in, she said loud enough for all to hear, "You stood for me my whole life. Now I stand with you." And then Maya took off her own medal, turned to the crowd, and placed it around her father's neck. Silence. Then thunder. Not from the teachers, not from the guards, but from every student in that auditorium, rising in applause, stomping the floor, shouting Marcus's name like he just returned from war. The 4 SEALs stood behind him unmoved. Then, almost as one, they raised their hands and gave Marcus a military salute. It wasn't for show, it was for truth, because they knew what those guards never bothered to ask. This wasn't just a man, this was a legend. Marcus had earned 2 Bronze Stars, a Purple Heart, and the respect of warriors around the world. And here, he was almost denied entry. 2 guards asked Black Marine to leave his daughter's award ceremony, then 4 SEALs made them regret. It wasn't just a headline now. It was a statement carved into everyone's memory and a warning to those who still judge by skin before service.
It was supposed to be a quiet end to an ugly night, but what happened next became a national headline. Because when a Marine speaks, not with anger, but with honor, even the coldest rooms learn to stand. The principal returned to the mic. His hands trembled, his voice cracked, and he stumbled through an apology that sounded more like paperwork than repentance. Then he did something unexpected. "Mr. Marcus Green, would you like to say a few words?" The air tightened. The students leaned forward. Marcus stood slowly, calm. Not because he was unsure, but because he knew the weight of every word that would follow. He didn't take the mic. He didn't need to. He simply looked out over the crowd, students, teachers, guards still too ashamed to reappear, and said, "I didn't fight for medals. I didn't serve for applause. I did it so my daughter and every student here could live in a country that judges by merit, not by shade." A hush fell deeper than silence. He continued, "When those guards removed me, they didn't just dishonor me. They dishonored every veteran who looks like me, every parent who shows up despite the scars. But tonight, you all reminded me why I served." He turned to Maya. Because of you. Because you didn't just win an award. You reminded this room what dignity looks like, even when dignity's tested. Then, without asking permission or seeking approval, he stepped back. No mic drop, no dramatic music, just truth. Maya stood beside him, her hand in his, and the entire auditorium, students, faculty, even the janitors stood too. A standing ovation for a man who was almost erased, and for a daughter who refused to let that happen. 2 guards asked Black Marine to leave his daughter's award ceremony, then 4 SEALs made them regret. That sentence now meant something deeper. Not just justice, but legacy. Across the country, the story spread to newsrooms, classrooms, and dinner tables. Not just about racism, but about repair, about the power of presence and the reminder that sometimes the most powerful revenge is being seen. The next morning, the guards were gone. The school issued a new policy for veteran recognition, and Maya, she got a call from the Secretary of Defense who called her medal moment the proudest salute never given in uniform. The world may forget headlines, but they will not forget what they saw that night. A father reclaimed, a daughter exalted, and a nation reminded.